Nicole Kidman's AMC ad comes on, and then it transitions into a video introduction that Tom Cruise made to like welcome you back to the theaters. And I'm like, if only she thought to put a clause about that in the divorce proceeding.
Right.
Welcome to Keep It, Cricket Media's show about pop culture and politics and what happens when they smack into each other at an alarming speed. I'm your host, Ira Madison III, a television writer and Fall Out Boy fan.
I'm Louis Virtel. I'm a TV writer and Jane Fonda historian.
Let's get into it.
All right, Louis. I was taking a drive the other day, and when I got I took the highway straight into the danger zone.
Oh, you don't fucking say.
Top Gun Maverick finally opened in theaters this weekend, and it's already the biggest debut of Tom Cruise's career with over 160 million, which is wild to me.
Yeah. Also, it kind of surprises me that there is a lasting cultural memory of Top Gun. I'm not saying it wasn't a sensation at the time. It obviously was. But that's not a movie I see on TV now very often. You know, it hasn't held on the way something like maybe The Breakfast Club has, where you just keep running into this movie 100 times a weekend.
Here is what I'm going to say about Top Gun, which I fucking loved. I thought it slapped.
I like the last 30 minutes.
I have documented on this show, my daddy issues.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of
Thank
people
you, Demi.
I think that a lot of people who were like our age or parents in the 80s and early 90s, and then also people who were the age that we were in the 90s who like were growing up like without fathers or like with complicated relationships with their fathers, movies like this, movies like the Creed reboot, like this is specifically for them. This is about men dealing with their emotions, and I think that like Top Gun, the original, is like one that's sort of like been like, I guess, dormant in the minds of men. And it was just reawakened by this movie because I was sobbing.
Oh
Men
my God.
were sobbing. Okay? Okay? This movie is about men loving other men, and not in a gay way, but maybe in a gay way.
Thank you for telling me that, because I had no idea.
I just think that's where it's been, Like,
right.
And I don't think movies like this are particularly made anymore. Not just like the blockbuster that's sort of like, like a movie like this, because like sometimes Tom Cruise still makes these movies, right? Like the Mission Impossibles. But like this specific kind of movie is really sort of rare. Like a movie that's really just about like the bros like supporting the other bros and like saving your best friend's life.
I think also it's not just that there's that emotional quality, which is a sort of a hidden gem of the movie. It's also juxtaposed with the cocky bro energy. So you get both, right? Because you get a lot of Glenn Powell raising an eyebrow and snickering in Tom Cruise's face. You get Val Kilmer squaring off again with Tom Cruise and both loving him and criticizing him. That juxtaposition makes you feel like you get an entire male character, which I'm sure fans of the original really like. I will say the original Top Gun, thinking about how quote unquote iconic or legendary is, it's a pretty conventional movie. Like the actual plot of it, nothing really surprises. But I will say I already brought her up, Kelly McGillis, and I also missed Meg Ryan, who they just decide has died. Come on now. We want to see Meg Ryan. What an amazing opportunity this would have been to see Meg Ryan.
Tom Cruise didn't want to see Meg Ryan.
I fucking guess. Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird that she's not in it, but let me tell you something. This movie is very conventional too.
Yes.
As I feel like it taps into my heartstrings, and it feels like such a good summer movie because it like follows like every sort of like beat you're expecting it to follow. And also, I will say the directing is heavy-handed in that every time, I mean, it was like watching Days of Our Lives, which every time the camera lingered on a photo of Maverick and Goose. I'm like, girl, I know he's dead.
Yeah, we remember. Yes,
It
it was a little nostalgia overkill for the first 45 minutes. It was.
But damn, Tom Cruise is a star. Like, he is a fucking star, and like, he feels like Tom Cruise, and like, I know we've been inundated with like all of these Mission Impossible films, which are iconic, by the way. You know how I feel about those movies. But he's like, he feels different than Ethan in this movie too. Like, he's still Tom Cruise, but like he's still acting. I
also think something really impresses about him when you compare him to the other performances, where like the young guys are all, I've already used this word, but mainly just cocky. Like, it's not really about gravitas ultimately, and there's something about the way he responds with, like, you know, these classic Maverick quips, you know.
Your reputation precedes you.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting an invitation back.
And he doesn't say it like flatly like John Wayne would say that, for example. He says it with almost a self-deprecating air somehow. There really is an unexpected, I don't want to say the word humanity because that feels like a crazy word to say in conjunction with Tom Cruise. But
it's going to win the Humanitas Prize, okay?
Yes.
That's what Top Gun Maverick is going to win.
But there's a shocking groundedness and humor that isn't going for a hard laugh either. You know, it's just a sort of lived-in sensibility about this character that is deeper than expected.
I loved our boy Miles Teller in this film.
Okay, here's my problem with him, though, and I do love Miles Teller's acting. I don't love the headlines about Miles Teller, which have been frightening to me recently. But Miles Teller, there's a twist regarding his character in this movie, and it would hit harder if we had met that character well enough beforehand, but he really had like, what, 6 or 7 lines before we were told, oh, he's important in this other way too.
It was also nice to see him lighter in this film. I mean, like, so the scene where they play football on the beach, you know, is just as fun as the original volleyball scene in the first movie. And it was nice seeing Miles Teller smile, I guess, because I don't know if we've seen him smile in any fucking movie he's been in the past 10 years. They're very depressing movies.
Yes, and his first breakout role was Rabbit Hole, and he sort of just kept that streak.
Yeah, that Dead Baby movie?
Yes, that's the one, yeah.
That movie's rough.
Yeah, that's among the rougher movies you'll ever see. That's among the hardest crying I've ever seen in a movie. Viola Davis said, "Calm down." Yeah.
What is wild about the movie, though, is I don't know if you got this, but Nicole Kidman's AMC ad comes on, and then it transitions into a video introduction that Tom Cruise made to like welcome you back to the theaters. And I'm like, if only she thought to put a clause about that in the divorce proceeding.
Right. But by the way, it's sort of a testament to the brilliance of Tom Cruise's PR team that it basically smash cuts from Nicole doing her gay monologue about sitting at movies.
Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
To him, and I didn't think for a second, oh, there's some irony there. Like, really, like, I don't associate those two names with each other, even though they were utterly, like, hyper famously linked once upon a time. I guess she herself has moved on in a very serious way too, but I'm shocked that you have to tell me, oh, isn't it fucking weird that we went from Nicole Kidman telling us to go see movies to Tom Cruise telling us to go see movies, and it didn't strike me as, you know, tragically ironic or anything.
Here we are. Back to the movies.
But by the way, we must talk about Jennifer Connelly in this movie. Okay, among the thankless roles a human being could have, Jennifer Connelly in this movie is mostly leaning over a bar and smiling at Tom Cruise. I mean, that's all she has to do. But were you also surprised? She has lighter hair in this movie, and at times she is a dead ringer for Kate Walsh. At times, I was like, wait, is this Kate Walsh in this movie? They looked utterly the same. It felt like they were in conversation with each other, and I'm glad they were, because in that way, the movie passes the Bechdel test and fails every other way.
I mean, the last thing I will say about this movie is we talked about how bad that Gaga song was.
Yeah.
It really hits how bad it is when he holds her hand at the end of the movie, and then you just have Gaga screaming, hold my hand, in the theater.
I guess she sings loudly enough, but otherwise, again, I wouldn't even really call it a song.
It's just it's sort of a mantra. It's a cult mantra. Maybe that's what she and Tom were cooking up.
Could be. I just feel like this is a pattern Gaga picked up around the Born This Way album, which has tons of songs that are just short of a good hook that she kind of ruins by over singing, and she goes back to that every once in a while, you know. Perfect Illusion, I'm looking at you.
You know what? What you are not going to do is come for songs written by Kevin Parker, okay? We are not going to do that to Tame Impala today. Anyway, what else are you looking forward to this summer?
Well, the word out of Cannes is a bit dubious, but I really am looking forward to Baz Luhrmann's Elvis movie, even though he is, I think, my least favorite mainstream director. I find him constantly disappointing, but I want to see what he does with just an era I really love. I love foundations of rock and roll as we know it, or the rock era. I know Elvis wasn't the first rock singer. I know he is lifting entirely from black men, but yes, I'm interested in whites. It's gonna slay.
I always love when people discover one that people just go fucking crazy at Cannes. Because I remember someone texting me, they were like, this movie got a how long standing ovation? I was like, this happens every year, baby. There's always one movie where it's like they clap like Oprah just gave the entire audience cars.
Right. And the deal is they're excited to be there, and they're excited to be around the stars, and so there's an air of privilege in the room about everyone getting to be there, and they confuse that for quality.
Mm-hmm. And people always discover when a new Baz Luhrmann movie comes out that this man is a heterosexual.
Right. He's sort of just a normal straight guy. He has no queer leanings whatsoever. And also,
it makes sense. It makes sense because his movies aren't great.
Straight men. Right. That is sort of the missing ingredient. You know, Moulin Rouge, the thing that's missing is hot gay men.
I would say that the only one of the few straight men to accomplish like a gay Fantasia is Robert Zemeckis. Death Becomes Her.
Definitely, yes. I think Baz Luhrmann's greatest accomplishment is directing the performance of Elizabeth Debicki in The Great Gatsby. She fucking slayed in that movie.
You know what also slayed in that movie? The soundtrack. And that's usually what is great about a Baz Luhrmann film. The beat. I like the beat.
Yes, right. No, and Lana should have been nominated for that song because that really nailed the languor and the patina of glamour that The Great Gatsby has, and also the sadness underlining everything in that movie.
I am, for some reason, looking forward to Jurassic World Dominion.
Jurassic Park has entered the realm of Star Wars where I just feel we have explored every possible facet about it. We're going to get into like micro movies about Stegosaurus plates soon.
I also was watching the trailer for Dominion, and I recently revisited Jurassic Park, and it's still fucking amazing. But the conceit of that into Lost World, into what we're in now, is like they've become action movies.
Yeah,
like you've got Chris Pratt running around jumping on ice. It's all like you're watching Mission Impossible. It's like you're watching an Avengers movie, and that's not what the original Jurassic Park movies were.
I actually would also compare it to Star Wars in that the thing I love about the original, I mean, aside from the action sequences, is that the characters are amazing. And they're one of a kind. I can't really put them into any other movie. Like Laura Dern in Jurassic Park only belongs in that movie. Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, etc. And that goes for the original Star Wars movies where like There's a real sardonic edge to the humor in that movie, to Carrie Fisher, to Harrison Ford, of course. And as the movies keep getting churned out, that one-of-a-kind character thing goes away. And Chris Pratt is sort of in the tradition of the people who precede him in these movies, but also, I don't know, if he feels like he could be anybody in a way.
And of course, Chris Pratt is in Thor, Love and Thunder, which I'm looking forward to because I do love Taika Waititi. And I know you have your thoughts about Ragnarok.
Yes. I mean, I went there intending to enjoy it, and I just got Cate Blanchett taking that check, and, well, really, that's it. I don't think she gave us anything else. I mean, the main movies I'm looking forward to this summer are Fire Island, which is about going to Fire Island, a place we talked about last week on this show, and Bros, which is Billy Eichner's Apatow-produced gay rom-com. These movies really get into the nitty-gritty of being a gay guy in 2022. There are certain things in these movies that I really thought I would never see. First of all, in Fire Island, the explanation of casual gay drug use is unparalleled. I mean, you'll learn about ketamine. You'll get jokes about ketamine. Your parents are about to learn about ketamine.
Your parents are about to learn about G.
Yeah, right. And as somebody said to me, there's this weird danger about this movie where it feels like your parents or straight people in the middle of the country are going to watch this and think, oh, it's exaggerated because it's a movie. But actually, the events in Fire Island are not exaggerated. I would call it basically a journalistic rundown of what occurs at a gay resort.
I would also describe Fire Island as journalistic. I absolutely love the movie.
It's
feel
great,
like
by the way. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like if anything, it's journalistic and toned down.
Yeah. No, PG-13 in most ways, and quaint.
That's because it's a Pride and Prejudice adaptation too. Like it feels, it's. I want to press that it's so good, but also it feels sweet and quaint in a way that doesn't feel neutered, like it's a Love Victor or something. You know, It feels like it's honest, but it's such a joy to watch, and I'm looking forward to Bros as well.
And you get glimpses of debauchery. Like they'll show you a dark room at a gay party where like actual banging is going on. And then they play with that comically too, which is cool to see. But then, you get back to the romance of it. You get back to the sweetness of the friendships in the movie. And also, by the way, if it were literally just about friendship and that's the main focus of the movie, that would have been enough. But it really succeeds on a number of layers. And I'm just so impressed with Joel Kim Booster, who wrote it. This adaptation of Pride and Prejudice stars in it, and I think it's my favorite acting moment of his too. He basically plays, a relatable protagonist who has flaws. He's vain, a bit concerned with, maybe concerned with sexual satisfaction and conquering Fire Island in a certain way, but that's also relatable. I think everybody comes to Fire Island with some ambition of some sort. It's not just, I'm going to go there and relax. It's like, no, you want the vigor of a gay experience when you go there, and this movie captures that.
My favorite acting moment of his was episode 5 of Sunnyside, but I'm more of a Joel Kim Booster connoisseur than you.
I see. Wow. All right. You've done the homework. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's absolutely great. I mean, he's absolutely great in the film, and I'm like proud of the work that he's done on it. And it's really such a joy actually to see a movie like this with so many of your friends in it, involved in the making of it, because they're all great. Bowen's great, Matt is great, Nick Adams is great. Like everyone is like really like at their best in this film. So it was a joy to watch, and I'm glad that I got to see. It's coming to Hulu. You can watch it on Hulu, but like I was glad I got to see it on a big screen.
I thought it really gained something on it. Yeah, because it's a movie you want to scream at. There's lots of uproarious comic moments, etc. So it's fun to watch in a theater. But when you're watching Drag Race in the coming weeks, you can watch this alongside it, and bring that energy, bring the screaming at the bodiness. Fun to it. And by the way, can we just say about Drag Race? Can we get into Drag Race for a second?
I texted Louis this week because I was like, this episode of Drag Race was made for you.
There have only been a couple of times in my life where I was either experiencing something or watching something, and I thought, this is only for me. I can't believe this is happening. It feels so catered to me, and almost in a way like you did a bad drug, and now you're concerned the world is funneling in on itself or something. In this episode of Drag Race, Vanna White was not the guest judge, but they surprised the queens on the runway, and it was a pageant-themed category. It was actually Vanna White Glamour, I think was the name of the theme. And they just surprised them with Vanna White on the runway as they walked. So you actually got all of the queens spontaneously reacting to the glamour and star power of Vanna White, one after the other. And these old queens in particular were fucking living.
Raja.
Oh my.
Raja reacting to Vanna White and literally putting her face in her hands and saying, oh my fucking God. I feel like I'm over here always touting the greatness of game shows and just how fun they were, how much I love them and how much I want to be a game show host, etc. To watch other gay men react to Vanna White like she was, I mean, it was like a president was there or something. Very affirming. Amazing to see.
It taps into sort of like what we were just talking about at the beginning of the episode, right? Like with your aunt, you know, like smoking Winston's, you know, like watching her soaps and then letting you watch game shows. It was like you got to see Raja, but you know, I love seeing like Jada and like Monet and Shay reacting to like Vanna White too, because it was like that was the era where everyone was connected by like this stuff that aired during the daytime. And
totally.
Whether it was your aunt, whether it was your mom, whether it was your grandmother, like watching their soap operas and then watching like Wheel of Fortune, it's like we all grew up on Vanna White.
Totally. And it's just, she's that rare person who has had the same job for 40 years. Like even people on soaps for the most part have been turned over. They're a little bit less than, but Vanna has literally been there 4 decades doing the same thing. And she loves it. When she does interviews about her job, she's like, there's a famous quote somebody said, have you fulfilled all your career ambitions? And she replied, yes. Ding. Win, Vanna White.
She's turned every fucking vowel, okay?
Yeah, right. One time she turned Q's, okay? She's got versatility.
I feel like the only way for her to fulfill something new would be like if we discovered new letters in the alphabet.
Yeah, when she gets into Cyrillic Wheel of Fortune, that'll be a fun turn for her. Literally a turn.
Wheel of Fortune, hieroglyphics.
Solving the puzzle takes years. Yeah.